Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for doing it on a special night. Go ahead and fire away. Unmute yourself or type in.
And go ahead, Tracy, then Priya.
Hey, Miss.
Hello. So I, I have a very basic question. I started to sit down on the stairs and I realized I was too far out, and so I knew I'd hit my coccyx, my tailbone on the stairs. So I lifted my right butt cheek and my left butt cheek, like I landed really hard right beside my tailbone,
Mhm.
and it is just aching like you would not believe. Like no position is comfortable. I think it's muscular or like the tendon down there or something. So I was just wondering if there's what would be the best like protocol to use, and like
Like,
would it be
so is it hurting like right, on the area like by the tailbone, or is there other areas?
it's just hurting right at the tailbone and right beside it, right where I hit it. Like, and it's very sore. Um
And I
and
can't
I've
remember
been
your word. Did you? I think you tumped. Is that the word that you use in the
dude,
South?
I tumped backwards.
What's that?
I tumped and twisted.
Right, right.
My favorite
I
word.
forget about that word that you guys use in the South.
Yeah, that's
So,
my favorite.
I mean, I would probably use like helichrysum or something like that. It could be a little bit of a bruise, could be a little bit of a strain, like you said. Sometimes when you hit and it's an area where it's close to like a bone, like it's not just like it gets hit, but like the bone and the tissue kind of smash together a little bit. And so, I mean, hopefully it's that. I mean, there are times where the coccyx can get out of place, but I would treat it just as like a bruise for a while. Like,
Okay.
read a lot into it until it just doesn't get better. If that's an issue, then we look at something different. But um, I would just helichrysum, after a few days, maybe some marjoram, just to reduce any sort of spasms. Another thing is, the arnica ointment, arnica ointment, helichrysum, things like that are good for like bruises and
Okay.
strains and things like that. And so, you didn't break the skin or anything though, right? It's just
No.
like
Okay.
bruised. Arnica
Yeah.
should be fine if you have that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like multiple times a day, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
there is a thing like there is the piriformis goes across the butt cheek, but it actually attaches on the front side of the sacrum. And um it can develop a trigger point on that spot that you really can't palpate, because it's on that front side of the sacrum. And so that's always a possibility as well. But still treating that surrounding area like that, it should be enough to treat it unless there's some more significant issue going on there.
I've been kind of sitting on a ball and like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's going to
pressing
be
against.
tender for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to be letting go.
You know how they get those donuts,
Yeah.
those cushion donuts. I would probably sit on that for a couple of weeks just to keep it from getting too irritated.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
yeah, and no more tumping.
No more tumping. It's my dogs. I was
Yeah,
trying to keep one from going up the stairs, so I'm like, let me sit on the stairs and block her way.
right.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Priya, then Linda.
Hey, Priya.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you? What time is it over?
Good.
What time is it over there?
9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, one day before Vesak. Can't wait. So I wanted to check on a couple of things. First is dry eye.
Dry
would be the
eyes?
best option for
So
dry?
dry eyes actually can be a little bit of an allergy, and it also can be just a little bit of an autoimmune issue. It's actually very common. It doesn't really matter which one it is, but the best way to treat dry eyes is that oil schizandra. And schizandra, you would take like maybe 2, 3 drops, like right as you know in the evening before you go to bed, just because it will also help you sleep better. But the thing that Schizandra does is it helps to moisten all the mucous membranes, but it also helps to like moisten the eyes and things like that. And so over a period of time, didn't we do that with your eyes a little bit?
Oh, and it works fantastic.
Yeah. So even Samantha has had that in the past, and she said it knocks it out. Like how long did it take you?
Yeah.
Oh, it only takes maybe 2 days, maybe.
So
Yeah.
Samantha said her eyes were pretty dry, and within 2 days they were, starting to shift and change. And
Wow,
it's like
that's great.
you can do it for a little while, and you don't have to do it all the time, right? It's
No, yeah, and
Yeah.
when they get
Yeah.
dry, then I'll do the
Yeah.
Schizandra again, and they go again.
so you can do it for a little bit, get things going, and then just from time to time touch it up, like whenever they start to feel a little dry, and it should work.
Yep. So just one time, just before bed, 3 to 4 drops should be enough.
Yeah. Even two to three, like the Shazendra is pretty potent, and so 2 to 3 drops is pretty good, and it will really help your sleep quite a bit.
Yeah. For my sleep, because I was still, I think I'm expecting the parcel today or tomorrow, but in the meantime, the spikenard and Melissa has been so good.
Yeah, oh
It
yeah,
just knocks me
good,
out.
good, good.
Like
Yeah.
because last night I did my meditation and it was
Uh-huh.
pretty late, and then I just couldn't sleep. I was full of energy, and then I had that spikenard and Melissa, and
Mhm.
straight away went to bed
Yeah.
easy.
Perfect.
Thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
Secondly, patience and tolerance.
You're so sweet. Yeah, you're so sweet.
What would help with cultivate more patience and tolerance? I think I
Patience and
feel
tolerance.
like
Well, Melissa and spikenard's a pretty good thing to do. Like when you're dealing with difficult people or difficult situations, or just the other thing I throw in the mix is like if you have the tendency to get a little frustrated sometimes, ylang could be helpful for that. But
Yep.
patience and tolerance, like a lot of times. Because if you're looking at like Spikenard and Melissa, for example, they're nervines. They're very good for fortifying the nerves, like strengthening the nerves and like calming the nerves. And anytime you do that, you tend to, I don't know, it changes how you interact with people. Like I joke and I say when I take Melissa, I'm a better person.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
it's a joke, but it kind of isn't a joke, like because you become a little bit more, if you need to be patient, you're patient. If you need to be softer, you can be softer. You're not like wound up. And it's not that people go around like being bad or something, but a lot of times we're we got deadlines, we have goals, we have things we're trying to get done, we have things that we're thinking about, and then we start interacting in different situations or with different people, and they're not paying attention to the things going on our schedule and the things that we need to do. And I just find that it helps you to be a little bit more like flexible. It helps you to be
Yep.
I've tried using Rose that way, and Rose will make me like the heart big, but
Yep.
it's almost like how you do in meditation or whatever. Like I find Melissa to be a little bit more like practical, like if you know what I mean,
Yep.
like when you're doing the things that you need to do in the day. The Rose makes me feel good, but I don't necessarily feel that it translates always into like what you're talking about. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Continue with that.
yeah,
And
I would continue with that. I mean, I don't know that there's any other big, I mean, can you think of anything big that would go into that area? I mean, galbanum's always good. Not necessarily for the patient's intolerance, but it helps take the edge off of like having a bad day, or if you're in pain, or if you're not feeling good.
yeah,
You know, because a lot of times it's how we're feeling is dictating how we're acting or behaving. And, you know, being patient intolerant is when you don't have a lot of time demands, or a lot of consequences for, you know, like sometimes you're like, I have to get this done or else.
yeah,
It's hard to be patient and tolerant when you have that looming over you. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I think the Melissa and Spikenard just over a period of time will do something pretty substantial for you. So
yeah,
yeah, I don't know that you need to use that pretty consistently. I don't know that you need to change a whole lot.
yeah, yep, yep. Thank you for that.
You're so
So I think maybe it comes from childhood, but it's there's a tendency to always be busy. And if I'm not
yeah,
busy, it's
yeah.
like I am very uneasy if I'm not busy.
Mhm.
And I'm looking for things to be busy when even if I have an opportunity to relax. So that's why I feel like the patience is towards myself
Sure.
more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, I get that. Like, you know, again, I've said this, I think, on the streams, and I definitely say it around the office. Like, I'm a better person when I have things to do. Like, if I'm just left and I like, okay, I don't have anything. I mean, like a day or two. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, but if I have a day or two, I just end up relaxing. But if like I didn't have a lot of responsibility, you know, for months at a time, you know, I wouldn't be my best self. Like there is something about applying yourself because you get to refine yourself. And you know, I know there's a school of thought that says like stop avoiding yourself, but it's not so much about like work and things like that. You know, when you're applying yourself, you're in that intuitive state. You know, you're in the mode where you're applying yourself, and then you refine yourself. And it is a very positive way to work through things when you're trying to work through it. And I would just say, you know, make sure that it's not just busy work, busy to be busy. And
Mm,
if you need times, sometimes where you're like, oh, I want to relax, you know, you sit and you do, you know, contemplation or some mantra, or you do a little
mm,
self-healing, or, you know, you do a little oil protocol or something like that. And you stay busy with things that are helpful. But you know, like in the Buddhist tradition, I mean, they have these in different various Christian traditions too, and Jewish traditions, but for me the Buddhist tradition is the thing that I usually go to. And in the Nyingma tradition, um a lot of times, which is the part that's associated with energy, you know, doing Buddhist practices with, you know, tantric practice or energetic practice. And they call it spirituality through action. You know,
mm,
like everything is very action oriented. And
mm,
even your sleep, like, okay, I'm going to dream. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to work my dreams. I'm going to, you know, it's a thing. So I would say, you know, as long as you're not, you know, doing things just to be busy, you know,
mm,
like
mm,
you have stuff to do, you have interests, you have, you know, things you want to read and things you want to write, and you know, you're an artist, you do creative processes. I think all of that's very good.
mm. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I would
Well
imagine
done.
your art is very therapeutic for you.
Yeah. It has become, and I wanted to actually share with you also the frankincense and myrrh that I was sharing previously, the throbbing, it has also reduced heaps.
Oh,
Like
good.
now, if
Yes,
I,
yes, yes.
yeah, now if I'm having a bath, I hardly feel any throbbing. Like it's just
Perfect.
almost
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
So
Good.
all of these practices are very, very helpful and very
Good.
powerful, but in a gentle way.
Yeah.
But very important. Tuberose tonic,
Yes.
body tonic.
Uh-huh.
How does it benefit the aura?
So, one of the things is it allows for more spiritual energy to come in. It's somewhat clearing, but I would say it's more than clearing. It's probably more transmuting than anything, and it's really super fortifying to the parasympathetic activity in the vagus nerve. And so, I go through little phases where I can't get enough of it, and I'll do it for a few days, and man, I sleep really good, and I'm able to go deep into the intuitive state, and it feels like I shake off things from the past when I'm using the tuberose. I don't use it every day because I think after a little while I'm like, okay, I've shaken off. I need a little time to acclimate a little bit, And so I'll use it for a few days or a week, and then I'll go a week or two without using it, and then I go back and I do it again, and it feels very. We were talking about this just the other day, like it feels kind of liberating, like it is the
Hmm.
best way that I could describe it. Like
Interesting.
it just, because even if you look at the idea of cords or attachments, part of how we let go of the cords or the attachments is the more you can go into a parasympathetic state, the more you actually kind of release the cords. I mean, that's how Rue works, is kind of shoves you into a state of the parasympathetic activity. And in that moment, those cords release. And so even MCKS talked about that. It's in the back, I think, of the advanced book, where there'll come a time, how like you do healing and you go, okay, I'm done, cut. He said there comes a point where when you're done, it just falls away, right? And it's you really have to train the nervous system to not be in fight flight so much. And when you start reducing that fight flight and you're able to go into like a rest and repair mode, but you're awake, things will just fall away. Like it's kind of like the version that I say is like say we're talking about past traumas or something, like where you can just walk away from something. Part of the thing is, we're entangled, but it's really more the intellect, and so we're unwinding it, and at some point it doesn't really release completely, but it gets like loose, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then at some point, that piece that was stuck in the trauma, you just kind of grab it and go, let's get out of here. Like, let's just stop doing this. And you literally just kind of walk out. And, you're walking it out of the trauma. And, there's big traumas, there's micro traumas, there's just weird tensions that can happen throughout the week and all that. And the more that you're able to hit those aspects of parasympathetic activity, the more you can just kind of walk away from some of those things or move past them. And helichrysum is very good, especially for unwinding the intellect and everything. But like when we're talking about things like sadness or hurt feelings or anything like this, in a deeper state of intuition, it's not that those things don't bother you anymore. They don't exist. They just don't exist. Like, and so when we have, because I'll have mornings where I wake up and I'm like, I am sad. Like I am super sad. And Samantha will go, why are you sad? I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. Like it does not feel like it's even about anything that I could go, oh, this thing that happened when I was 5 or this thing that happened last week. I just couldn't tell you, but I'm sad. And so, sometimes I'll be a little bit in my head about it. And, it doesn't happen often, but it happens. And, I'm in my head about it, and it just kind of lingers there. And then, the more that I can go into an intuitive state, so either through mantra, through meditation, maybe a little healing, but like kind of one of my go-to things is like the tuberose, or, I have a couple other like little things that work for me. And if I do that, like it's gone, like it just passes. I just play, and then I just find myself not like, oh, it's released. I just find like I'm doing something, and then I realize, oh, it's not there anymore. Ah, and then I
Yeah.
keep doing my thing, and still, but it wasn't like there was this big like inner fanfare of like, ta-da, you're released from this. It's just like you just got up and walked away. You know what I mean? And different things can do that, but tuberose is really strong for that. Really, really super strong. And if you look at like in the Buddhist tradition, in the Tibetan tradition, Avalokiteshvara, who is the Tibetan version of Kuan Yin. So it's the being that's in charge of hearing and answering prayers, right? And like if you see a lot of times on the statue or the tonkas, that being will have a big wreath of flowers around their neck, and it's tuberose. And so it's tied to hearing and answering prayers and ending suffering is what that being is there for. And so prayer is an intellectual way to move into intuition. And so that whole idea of using tuberose for prayer work is because it helps pull you out of intellect and move into more of the intuitive state. Like we're going to be doing a Dorje practice on Thursday. Do you have your Dorje? Like I'll give you a little taste of like in the Buddhist tradition. So okay, so you have your Dorje. Like we're just going off the tracks, so you might as well just lean into it, right? So you'll notice like sometimes, so you see how like I'm holding it and like I'm blessing the earth, okay? So I'm going, okay, Om Mani Padme Hum, or whatever the mantra is. Om, 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 or Om Mani Padme Hum, and then bless the earth. So when you're doing that, right, the goal is you stay super focused, right? You stay really focused. So if you're blessing the earth, like say I'm blessing the earth for you, right? So, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to do a blessing for Priya. And so I'd go, okay, I visualize Priya. And then as I'm visualizing you, I would be blessing the earth, right? So that focus is a harmonization of intellect and intuition coming together to bless the earth. And you're staying focused regardless of what imagery is coming up. But what happens is for a period of time, you're able to stay focused, and then the attention drifts off, right? So if you notice, like you'll see in Buddhist practices, this is usually never explained also, by the way. But you're going, okay, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, and then your mind starts to wander. So then what you would do with Dorje is you would go. And so instead of pointing it down, now it's like side to side like this, right? And so when it's side to side, it expands the energy body, right? Anytime the energy body expands, you go into intuition. So what's happening is you're focusing, you're being one pointed, and you're going, okay, I'm focusing on Priya. Then my mind starts to wander, and then you go. Because then what that does is thoughts will bubble up, but you kind of blow them out of your field, and you move your mind over to intuition. and then you sit in expansion for for like 30 seconds. It's not even very long. And then as soon as you kind of go to a quiet mind, then you go back and you go focus. Om mani padme hum, 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 and then your mind starts to linger, and then you go. And then it expands more. And so what you're doing is you're training the intellect to let go and allow you to go into intuition, right? I mean, it's literally what you're training your mind to do. Like yes, you're blessing. Yes, you're being one pointed. Yes, you're invoking a certain kind of prayer or mantra or whatever. But literally what you're doing is you're focusing, doing active intelligence, which is the harmony of intellect and intuition. And then soon as you start to veer out of it, you push your mind into intuition, right? You keep it out of intellect and you push it into intuition. And then you'll go, okay, I'm back to no thoughts. Then you go back to focus. And by going back and forth between focus and that expansion, you literally train your mind so that when the time comes and you go, ouch, this hurts, you go, okay, get up and walk away. Just get up and walk away, right? And so this idea of that is, we do this version with oils, we do it with mantras, we do it with meditations. You could do it with a practice here. You could do that, but the idea is you're training your intellect to be able to let go and then walk it into intuition. And then intuition, those things don't really exist. Like, I talked this out with a teacher one time because, when I was young, I was a little bit of a risk taker. So I had several near-death experiences. And that was one of the things that I really noticed, that I had some things that were really bothering me at the time, like really, like they just felt unresolvable. And I'd have that near-death experience, and it was like, a little scary, but it was also a little peaceful and everything. But I started noticing every time that I had one of those experiences, when I'd go back and try to touch those things that were unresolvable, it wasn't as bad, and sometimes it wasn't even there. And then I started noticing, right after, I was like, when I have those near experiences, like nothing's bothering me. Like, it's just, because you get so close that you go into a very deep intuitive state because you're trying to rally to survive, right? Or you're going to make a transition. And in those moments, things kind of fall away. And the goal was, the teacher, like, because I was very young, the teacher was like, yeah, you maybe need to not be reaching those states just by risking your life. Like, you need to stop doing that. And meditation gets you there, mantra can get you there, doing like that dorje practice, some of the things we do, like the purba and the kartikas, and all those things are designed for that to happen. They're not just purifying something, but they're training the intellect to be able to work with intuition and to allow intuition to do what it does. And in doing so, it really is very calming and soothing to the intellect. It's very calming and soothing to the mind. And so, there is a resistance in the intellect to I don't want to let go of what I know. I don't want to let go of my story. I don't want to let go of the things that I'm doing. But after you have a couple of experiences, the intellect starts to go, but I like this. This feels good. Like, this is soothing. Like, the mind gets used to it really kind of quickly if it can just get some of those experiences in. So going back to the idea of like the tuberose, or going back to, doing mantra or meditation, or for you, I would say even being creative and like, really being in the flow with with your artistic expression and things like that. All of that is very much in the intuitive state. You know,
Yeah.
for some people, it might be exercise. It might be that they go out and they, you know, they run or they, you know, they play tennis or, you know, whatever it is. And that's their form of it. But, you know, however it gets you there, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be, you know, we do things that are healing, but healing can happen in a lot of different ways, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just I'm going to sit and wrestle with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful. I'll have
Good,
to
good.
listen to it several times and
Yeah, yeah.
take more essence out of this. But thank you. I'm very
You're so
grateful.
welcome. You're so welcome.
And then go ahead, Linda, then Lolly.
Hey, Linda.
Hi there.
Hey,
So,
hey.
what's that?
Hey. How are you
Oh,
doing?
hey, I'm doing good. They're working on upstairs doing something, so there's a lot of loud banging right now. I hope it doesn't. Um, Fascinating conversation there with Priya just now, and I think it sort of opened up some things for me around one of the things I was going to ask about tonight, which is about being able to be more, I guess clairvoyant might be the right word for it, but
Mhm.
more of that the visual, like when we do practices together, I find it so much easier to slip into those states where it's really just easy for me to get visuals or to see things in the
Right.
but I find like when I sit down to do the practice by myself, it doesn't happen like that.
Right. It will eventually. Like,
Okay.
you know, like if you think about like how you know, going back to what we're talking about, like one of the best ways to undo, like, you know, say you have a difficult period in your life, one of the best ways to resolve that is, you know, when you move past it and you start to have some sort of success, especially related to that, like you feel better or you pull out of it or you start producing something, you know, something, right? And so part of that is because your mind or your intellect starts to have experiences that then has like a positive reinforcement. And so the same thing even happens with the intuition. Like the intellect, let's just say like at first the intellect is not happy about intuition is getting to play in the game. Like it wants to do what it wants to do. And then it was like, okay, I guess I'll be friends with it. Like, you know, it's not happy. Right. And then after a period of time, it's like, well, this is kind of interesting. And then over a period of time, the intellect starts going, well, intuition, what do you think about this? Like, you know, it keeps getting a little deeper and a little deeper. And then pretty soon the intellect will just go, well, intuition, why don't you handle this? And then, you know, we'll just see how you handle this. Like, you know, it's just, it's this like kind of process that happens. And so even if you're having experiences, um, like we're in a group or we're doing something, I mean, that is excellent. And over a period of time, what starts to happen is you start to have them on your own, you know, without being in the group. And the goal is to be able to call it up on a dime, you know, like how can I call it up? But that doesn't happen right off the bat. Like it's a lot of moving it back and forth. And I go back to like I'm laughing because we have this discussion about several different things in the office, but it's like tipping over a Coke machine, you know, those vending machines. You don't just walk over to it and go, and you push it over. You kind of rock it back and forth, and then eventually it tips, right? You know, when you're moving something heavy like that. And that's a lot like wrestling the intellect. You know, you you kind of rock it back and forth for a little while, and you have these experiences, and then you'll notice the experiences keep getting deeper, bigger, longer, you know, more involved. And anytime you really want to deepen intuition, there's the practices that we do in during the day, but also um enhancing the things where, like, when you sleep at night, like, really, even though you're sleeping well, go like, I want to go deeper, like I want to go deeper into the sleep. So going back to, like, the use of tuberose, or one that I like to also use sometimes is Paracelsus.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
it's a really simple blend. It's an old blend that, Paracelsus is the one that put it forward. And it's wormwood, it's opopanox, which opopanox is very good for stimulating parasympathetic activity, especially when it comes to healing the body. And it's like a sweet myrrh, kind of like opopanox. And wormwood is very soothing to the nerves and very antispasmodic. And then it has, the original formula from Paracelsus has some plant that's not around anymore. But I substituted this plant called Buddha wood that comes out of Africa. And that combination, it's very soothing to the nerves, it's very antispasmodic, but it puts your body like into a deeper state of healing. It puts it into parasympathetic activity, but like, when I put it on, like, say I put it on, then I go, I'm gonna sit down and watch a movie. Yeah, I don't get through 20 minutes of the movie. Like, I just, because I start like kind of conking out, and I just, even if I needed to get stuff done, it would be a chore after that, because like my body went into parasympathetic, like activity starts to be harder. And so I would say at like night, try to hit some more like markers like that, and that will enhance your intuition. It will just be easier and easier for you to tap into that during the day, like when you're doing healing, because I mean, that's part of healing is um
Mm-hmm.
the more you can go into an intuitive state, the better the healings are. The more
Right.
you stay in your intellect, that they'll happen, but they don't happen usually as fast. And even the approach, you know, the intellect wants to wrestle with a specific thing, where intuition is like, let's just get in there and play and see what's up. Like, and for the ones that kind of explored the thing that we did last weekend with the respiratory function, we spent all day Saturday treating things that would not be specific to the respiratory tract, but impact the respiratory tract. So there was all these other factors that played in that, as we went through and did them, like you could see, like respiratory function is improving, and you didn't wrestle with a cough, you didn't wrestle with bronchial spasms, you didn't wrestle with like, I'm not taking a deep breath. You just unwound these things of how you interact with the environment, because that's the thing that we tend to not put value on or to overlook, is how we interact with the environment. And so even with the auric programming that we did, we still kind of create this program for the physiology and the intellect to kind of drive. But we're going to be doing the other class, the healing the past, and that is literally what I'm talking about, is like, okay, this happened, let's get up and walk out of here, right? It's working the intuitive side of it, and it's really about increasing your awareness of how you interact with the environment, and how you interact with people, and how you interact with just anything like external. And then, but you do it in an intuitive way, right? Because intuition is learning, intuition is innovation, intuition is healing. It's movement, and intellect is repetition. It keeps something the same, it maintains it, whether it's good or bad, right? And so even sometimes some health issues is a lack of intuition. So to take it further, Holy Master Joel Kuhl would say it's the lack of soul energy or soul essence. But if you translated what he's saying, it's how we process information or energy from the soul is through intuition. And so what he's saying is we're lacking intuition in that. And so that Saturday, what we did is we looked at how we interact with all the environment and the respiratory tract, and we said, okay, instead of just trying to wrestle with symptoms, how can I go deeper into an intuitive state specific to the respiratory tract? Like, right? So we kind of want to explore all these different areas, all these different arenas of what about in the digestive tract? What about in the immune system? What about, and then even emotional or mental. But here you have a task where you're not really dealing with something in you, you're trying to do healings on other people. And so like, how do I go and be intuitive in those particular places? So 3 brains, materialization breath, doing mantra, doing lama yoga, or Dion, even oneness practices, so meditation on the blue pearl or some version of that. Any of those things brought into this arena start to help you to go into more intuition. And then there's different kinds of intuition, right? Like, so one kind is you're going to see like, oh, I see the energy around this, I see that. But a lot of it is going to be that knowing through direct perception, where you look at something, you go, got it, this is what's going on. And then you probably have even seen me where like we're talking on a stream or in a class or something, and somebody asks me a question and I go, well, maybe do this, this, and this. And then another person comes on and goes, I have the same issue, so I do the same thing. I was like, no, totally different.
Mhm.
Right? But if you listen, they have the same condition, but like how their body got there is not always the same. And so it allows you to see like these other factors that intellect will just go, well, this is the condition, so you would do these steps. But you look at how is this person or their energy body interacting with the environment, what's been the byproduct of it. Like, it takes in pieces of information that the intellect just doesn't even really value, right? And so because the intellect is processing sensory information. And so when you're going into like these healing states, it's almost like you're getting to practice the intuition, not with your difficulty, but with their difficulty. But it's still like working that thing, just like I said with the Dorje. Like, even if you go like, okay, let's analyze what's going on, right? And you go, okay, this person has a sinus issue and they have this and they have that, and you ask them a few questions. So you get the intellectual information, still very good. But then you start going, okay, but what else is going on? And then you just start maybe assessing the energy body or asking them questions, or you'll start to have imagery coming up about, maybe a particular person or a particular situation in their life. And then you start kind of going down the rabbit hole where I think the thing that is difficult in working with intuition is intellect. We like to get validated, and with intuition, we kind of still go, well, but I'd like some validation, or I'd like it to make sense. And sometimes it doesn't make sense until you start doing it and you start seeing that there's a result, and then that is your validation, and so even when I'm doing like corporate work, like I just had this a couple of times with a couple of different people at the end of last week. And, I started saying something, they go, I don't know what that means. I go, I don't either. I have to talk it out. Like, I have to keep saying it and saying it. And then, I would start going down the rabbit hole, and then I'm like, oh, I got what it is. And then I could say what it was. But at first, it was a bunch of random information that made absolutely no sense to me, right? And made no sense to them, right? So, but then as I talked it out and I kept just bringing it forth into the conscious mind, then it was like, that's what I'm seeing. And then we got to the heart of a matter very quickly. And intellect might have taken months, if not a year or two, to get there. Like, you know, it would be a lot of experiences, a lot of frustrations, and a lot of like, what is this about before you would get there. And so it's almost like you're starting to walk into something and you're not going to get that reassurance until it's done. And you know, and honestly, sometimes it doesn't work out. Like, you know, it's like you try it and you go like, well, yeah, that one, sometimes the magic works, sometimes it doesn't, you know, like you just couldn't. And sometimes it happens like slower with a particular person. But you know, talking about with healing. And but allowing yourself to, it's almost like play, or it's almost like music, or it's like doing art, you know, like I think that's a lot of times why, you know, they would say it's like the like doing healing like you're doing, it's a science and it's an art. You know, there's a little bit of both. And really what that's saying is it's intellect and it's intuition, you know. And there's something to be said about knowing how to treat something and knowing how to alleviate certain conditions and certain causes, and this oil does this, or this healing technique does this, and when I see this I know I can produce a result. But you'll notice that sometimes it produces a result, sometimes it doesn't. So there's other factors. And so that's that whole idea with the intuition and healing the past is, how do I interact with the environment? How do how do I go beyond the senses and interact with things, and then bring it back into the intellect? And so it's not an either or. You really want to be able to harness both, you know, but you want them to play together well. You know what I mean? And
I do, because when when I've slipped into intuition more and more when I do healings, it's just a whole lot more fun. There's a whole lot more joy in the process.
yes, I would agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I would
and
agree.
one of the things about pranic healing that I appreciated 20 years ago was it's so logical, it's so
Right.
it's so specific, it's so this and that. But after all these years, it's like it's time to like remember that I know how to. It's like playing piano. It's like I know how to play the notes, but now I need to play the music.
Right.
And that's what I want to do with the healing, right? It's like I want to be able
Right.
to play the
And if
music.
like if you
Yeah.
think about the piano thing, like you can hear somebody mechanically play it,
Yes.
play that song, and then you hear somebody play that same song, and it was like, oh my God, that was
Yes.
so touching, right? And it's the essence that passed through that, and it's the same idea. I remember I was having a conversation one time with him, CKS, and I don't know, we were talking about something, and the healing or a particular condition, and but like so this is what he said. He goes, well, you know, working with the techniques and the approach, he said it's a forced practice. And I was like, forced practice, I don't know what that means. And he goes, it's forced. You're stimulating something. You know, you're trying to make something happen. And I was like, yeah, like I wasn't getting where he was going.
Yeah.
And you know, he kept saying it's forced. And I was like, ugh. And then finally he goes, not clear. And then, you know, which is what he would do. And then he'd go, it's stimulated, like you're stimulating something. And I was like, okay. And he goes, at some point you have to step into it. You have to breathe life into it. And I was like, ugh. And so I think that's even like what you're saying right there is, you know, you train the intellect to do particular things, do this technique, do this, do that, like, you know, all these things. But then at some point you're like, but now I gotta put my spicy interpretation on it. Like I need to be able to breathe life into it. I need to like step into it and own it. Like, and so that's what he was meaning, even like with the meditations. You stimulate something, and then if you don't hold on to it, it goes back. So you stimulate it, and it makes it a little bit easier to step into it. he said that's just a way. He goes, that's not the only way, but that's a way. And the other side of the coin there is using intuition to step into that, and then taking that process and then being able to innovate with it. Right. And so it would go both directions. You know, you could have a bunch of intuition and have a bunch of guidance and then go, now how do I make this more practical? And how do I like kind of in a way like standardize it, or at least like come back to it and go, how can I integrate this into a system? You know, so it can go both directions.
Mhm.
But you know, it's good to explore both, and you can do it both in the same time. But even like the idea with doing healing and like exploring the different components of the aura, like you're still using the mechanics of, like if you do it with healing, you're still doing the mechanics of what you've learned in pH, but then you're starting to explore and like look at like all the little nuances of the aura, like the structure, the function, the dynamic, you know, the program, and you know, like we're doing the intuition, and the healing component is like how your energy body interacts with the environment, and you know, generates the emotions and our experiences and our perceptions, and you know, you're kind of marrying intuition and intellect in that, like you're exploring those nuances. Intellect just sees energy, the energy body, this and that. And then intuition goes, yeah, but there's all these little nuances. There's all these little things that, you know, like the piano player making that song sound just so beautiful. It's those little nuances that make that so expressive and really kind of touch you. And in the same way, you're doing the same thing with healing.
Mhm. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, one last quick question. We have a practice group that meets once a month, and we do the Lord's Prayer meditation.
Mhm.
And several of us recall hearing somewhere along the line you say something about an oil to use to support that particular meditation. We thought you said that.
Yeah, you could do a couple of things. Like you know, it depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go.
This group would want to go far.
Yeah. So, so I love that. That's why I'm laughing. I was like, people after my own heart. So you could like a single oil or blend, you know, you could use something like tuberose, you could use aloes, you could use poplar, you know, something like osmanthus, even ginger lily, astral projection can be good, but also there's the holy names for each of the centers. And so each center you could breathe a holy name. Or one of the things that I like to do sometimes is use the holy name for the crown. You know, so Kather is the blend. And so because the idea would be you're bringing in essence, or the like the divine I am, and then you're running it through the body. You know, you're running it through the centers. Another one that is a thing that could be a standalone is that blend mana.
Yeah.
Mana is an anointing oil. Like it's a variation of Keteret. You know, because there was several different formulas for Keteret, and mana. I mean, it just brings in light. Like it just brings in the light. Like sometimes if I put a drop on and then inhale it, I can literally see the pillar of light coming down. Like, you know, and it's not like you know, because usually I'm sitting you know, like during work or something, I put a couple of drops on, so it's not like I'm sitting there like in deep meditation or mantra, or you know, have done an invocation, and I see that and I was like, man, that's me at work. What if I really sat down and did a meditation and did this? And so, at times I'll do that. And I mean, I just blast off with that. Acacia would be another one, by the way.
Okay.
Aca-
And then how would you do it? Do you just like, should we sit and inhale it for a little bit and then do the
I would
meditation
inhale it on each of the centers.
as we're doing the
Like,
meditation?
yeah,
As we're
like so,
through it?
like, yeah, so you could and you could do a cycle with the oil and then a cycle without. So like the
Okay.
first time through, you know what? You want to should we do a little Lord's Prayer thing?
Mhm.
You want to do a little Lord's Prayer thing right now?
Well, I'd love to if everybody
Yeah.
else would.
Yeah. It's Monday. We're on a special night. We get to rules are out the window. So how about get one of the oils that I just talked about, and if you don't have one of those, like even just like hyssop, but if you have a nice precious oil or a nice blend, get that. I can give more suggestions, but I mean, I just gave a bunch. So poplar, aloes, tuberose, ginger lily, um, mana, any of the holy names. Yeah, I used I use tuberose a lot. I do use tuberose a lot for stuff like this. I mean, tuberose, aloes, cistus. What's another one? I go through phases with poplar, but I mean, I use them a lot. Samantha's jam is astral projection, right? Is that still your jam, or yeah? Even benzoin. Benzoin is very quiet, but easily could be something spicy for this practice. So get out one of the oils that you like and one that makes you be a little bit more intuitive. Shabumi would work. Alignment would work. Buddha mind would work. Okay, so just close your eyes. You have whatever oil, so you have it in your bottle or you put it on your hand or whatever. So just be still for a moment and just keep your eyes closed. Just kind of center yourself. You could keep your awareness on your heart for a moment. You're inhaling the oil and your awareness is on the crown. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. Your awareness is on your head. So we'll do the holy name and the angel as well. Your awareness is on the crown. You're still inhaling. Our Father. Metron. A I A. There is only one supreme God. One supreme mover. A-I-A. Your awareness is on your forehead, where the hairline is. Who art in heaven? Jehovah. The Archangel Raziel. I shall have no false idols. The idols being the body, the emotions, the mind. They are only vehicles. I am the soul. I am the Buddha nature. Jehovah. And then between your eyebrows, hallowed be thy name. Zaf ki el. Elohim. I will honor the holy names, the names of God. I will not use the Lord's name in vain. As I use these names, I invoke divinity. Elohim. Just pause and let go for a moment. Just let that incubate. Let go of the inhalation, just be still. Your awareness is on your throat. Again, hallowed be thy name. Ooh, right, ill. Ooh, right, ill. Jehovah Elohim. Jehovah Elohim. Your awareness is on the heart. You're inhaling the oil. Your awareness is on the center of your chest. Thy kingdom come. Let divinity come into form. Let guidance from the soul come into the form. Zad ki el. I will keep what is sacred, sacred. I will set aside time to honor the sacred. El. El. Again, just let go from. Your solar plexus below your ribs. Take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths with the oil. Let thy will be done. I honor and respect those who have gone before me. I honor and respect and express gratitude for those who have helped me. Ah, ma, ill. Elohim Gibor. Elohim Gibor. Awareness is on your navel, on earth as it is in heaven. I align and harmonize my lower nature with my higher nature, my lower self with my higher self, my body with my mind, my body with the soul. I will not kill. I will not destroy. I will not destroy things, especially that are different from me or that are in opposition. I align myself with the divine plan. Me, Kai, El. Me, Kai, El. Al o a va da. Al o a ba da mi kai il. Just let go. Let it all go for a moment. Just let yourself go. Let go of the breath. Let go of your focus and awareness. Just let go. Awareness is on your spleen on the left hand side. Give us this day our daily bread. The energy and life force that sustains us. The energy and life force that helps us to push through and overcome obstacles, especially those inner obstacles. It keeps us from connecting with our true nature. Ah, na, il. Ah, na, il. Will not create harm. We will not create negativity. Jehovah, the Baal. I will not act simply on impulse. Yehovah Zambao. Your low back area, the backside of your navel. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. And cultivate the inner sins. And strive to establish the order that allows for a divine connection. I will not take what is not mine. I will transmute conflict. I will heal. I will transmute. I will transform. Raphael. Raphael. Edonai Zabaoth. Edonai Zabaoth. Your awareness is on the sex chakra. Lead us not into temptation and deliver us from evil. Deliver us from the refusal of divine intelligence. Deliver us from the refusal of divine love. Deliver us from the refusal of creative destruction, or making space for our true nature. I shall seek the truth. I shall not bear false witness. Here I mix spirit and matter. Here I create in the world. Gallbladder. Shandai El Jai. Just let go. Let go of everything. Let go of the breath. Let go of your attention and awareness. Just let go from. Your awareness is on the bottom of the tailbone. For thine is the kingdom. I am in the world. I am not of the world. I am not attached to the belongings or the external. But I bring my presence to the external world. In the external world, in the physical world, I can begin to experience the soul on a deeper level. For thine is the kingdom. Sandal form. In the depths of the form, I offer up my prayers. Sandal form. Edonai Malkuth. your spleen on the left hand side. In you is the victory over the form, victory over the lower nature. Thine is the power. Your awareness is on the low back. I get my way, it is hollow. If I am attached to the world, that too is hollow. Thine is the glory. The glory is in you. Awareness is on the top of your head. This essence within me is eternal. It is always there. Forever. Om. Amen. Ra. Amen. Ra. Amen. Ra. I just let go of everything. I Okay, let's go ahead and move around. Of that. So like I think I was talking to Linda, right? So we used oils, we used the phrase of the Lord's Prayer, we used the commandment, we used the angel or the archangel, I should say, and then the holy name. And you
That
can
was
see,
definitely the music.
yeah.
That was totally playing the music, Greg.
You
Amazing.
could hear music, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just what we were talking about,
Oh,
how
I see.
that
Yeah,
you took the Lord's Prayer and you did something with it that was amazing. And
yeah,
I was very aware of it being perfect for tonight, being pre-Wesak, but also the
yeah.
first night of Passover, you
Yeah.
know, and it's just thank you for that
Oh,
whole
my pleasure.
experience.
Yeah. Maybe we should cut that out and like stick it in with that other one as well.
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
it separate, obviously, but I'll
Right.
stick it in.
Yeah, so we'll do a little bit of because we did a little bit of a version on the weekend. But this one was a little different, so we'll put them together so you can access. But again, you can use whatever oil, but the thing too is it's kind of like how I was talking about the thing with the dorje where you focus and then you're pointing the dorje and then you go and you just let everything go. You can do that even with the Lord's Prayer, or a Kundalini practice is where because you're really focused, but it's natural for the mind to like start to like bounce off. And so, you know, there's a thing to be said about keeping everything really focused because you're trying to develop that one pointiness. But at the same time, there's also a thing to be said to allow like to go into that more intuitive state. And it's not just spacing off that it's like, okay, I'm just let go and then come back to where you were and then continue. And it actually makes it much more potent because you're bringing in a lot more essence when you're with what you're circulating. And the more essence that you bring in, the more that you're cultivating the positive tendencies within the energy centers and the chakras and diminishing the negative, but you're also really waking up and moving the kundalini. Like when you just kind of blow through it, it's like the fumes of the kundalini kind of get moving. But if you go slow and you do the expansion and you come back, it's like you're moving some like thick energy that starts to become more and more fluid, and it's more activating to the centers. And whenever you move the kundalini, it's also cleaning things up. And so and it's very healing. Like kundalini energy is very regenerating to the body. And so a lot of good things come out of like doing that practice like that. Yeah. Funny when you said the music, sometimes when I'm doing that I actually hear music. Like I hear like I don't know. And
I just want to make sure, Linda, did you have any other questions?
Oh, probably, but that was just enough for thank you, thank you, thank you,
I
thank you.
think that was funny. Probably. Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to tomorrow night for
Yeah,
sure.
me too. Like that.
And then go ahead, Lolly, then Ollie.
Hey, Lolly.
Hi. Thank you, Linda. I was about to ask that. So when she asked, I was like, and that was just beyond. Yeah, a lot of things that she said apply to me. So and during the meditation, it was just an experience so different than any other time that I've done the Lord's Prayer. And I thought that Saturday was powerful. I actually did the version from Saturday. I actually did this morning again. Wow, yeah. So that was amazing, and yeah, we're very fitting for tonight. Okay, so going back to a few of the things from earlier when you talked about the bruising, using helichrysum.
Yes.
Would you do that? So would you do that as an ointment? Would you do that as a body tonic? Would you do it neat?
I mean, you could do both of those, but like when you have an injury, you know, helichrysum is amazing in this area. Like if you have something where you fell down, or you know, like I use like you open up a drawer and it falls on your foot, right? Putting it on there will reduce pain, will reduce inflammation, and will really actually, even if there's discoloration, it will diminish the discoloration, or if you hit it early enough, it will keep it from even happening. And so very good pain reliever. The thing that's really nice about using helichrysum for this is, even if there's an open wound, like say, you know, there's a cut, like if you put it in there, for one, and anti-inflammatory, it's very cleansing, like it's antibacterial, antimicrobial. So there's that. But it also reduces the inflammation, and it will literally start making, you can sometimes even watch the cut like move together a little bit and start to bind. And so if there was broken skin, that's why I was asking Tracy, like arnica will be very good for like the bruising and the injury and the pain and everything, but you don't want to put arnica on an open wound. And so the kind of the go-to thing is helichrysum for injuries like that. And then, you know, after a period of time, you can start changing it up. But for the first few days, helichrysum is just, you know, and so, you know, there's all kinds of stories that I have with the helichrysum, but like my favorite one is one time I was teaching somewhere, and the place that we were teaching, you know, was this big giant room, and then I had my stuff down these stairs, and I had forgotten something. And this is many years ago. This is probably 20 years ago. And so I ran down to get something, and it was this big long flight of stairs. And so I ran down the stairs and I got it. And as I was coming up, I wasn't paying attention, and I was stressing because I I'd forgotten something, and I had to walk away from the group, and man, boom, I caught my toe on one of the stairs, and I was like, ugh. And so I I went upstairs, I got the arnica, I pulled my sock off, I put a bunch of helichrysum on it, and pulled the sock back up and taught the rest of the weekend, and didn't really think anything of it. And I got home and I was like, my foot feels a little funny. I'd completely forgotten about the situation. And I pulled my sock off and I looked at it, and the toe was a little bit swollen, but it wasn't too bad. It wasn't discolored. And I was like, man, why is my foot hurting? And like I could just feel something was off. And I went like another day or two, and I was like, something feels weird. Went and have an x-ray. I totally had broken my toe. Like I had smacked my toe so hard, put the helichrysum on it, forgotten that it had happened, and you couldn't tell by looking at it. It looked just like a little bit swollen. And the doctor kept looking at it, and he goes, how long ago did this happen? And I go, like 2 or 3 days ago. He goes, it should be a sausage. Like it should be this big fat thing, discolored. He goes, the injury that you described, he's like, how, like he could not make sense out of it. And I was like, do I tell him? Do I not tell him? It just is going to sound like a weird thing. But I mean, that's the power of helichrysum. Like, even though there was this underlying injury, it was so soothing that like I forgot that it had happened. And I was just walking around. I was like, my foot feels funny in this shoe, and when I go barefooted, it feels funny. Like, it was totally broken. Like,
Wow, I didn't realize it's actually that powerful. Okay.
yeah.
And then would you use it for kids as well?
Yeah, you
Like
could.
let's say a
Yeah,
kid,
yeah.
even
That
young
would
ones, like
be,
4-year-olds.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't use a lot
Um,
of it, but I mean, I would totally use
yeah.
it. Helichrysum is
And
pretty
color,
gentle. Helichrysum.
yeah. And color-wise, what? It's not just blue, right?
No, it's
Is it just
like
no?
it's got a bunch of different colors in it, and so
Yes.
there's green, there's blue, there's violet. It's
That's what I
like
thought.
any time like when you smell the oil, like you notice that there's different like new different scents like as it unfolds. As the scent changes, the colors change, and so it
Mm.
could be green, it could be blue, it could be violet. It sometimes it starts to turn electric, like it can do all kinds of things, and so
Yeah, I realized there's something in it. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
And then, and also regarding the same situation, arnica, I wanted to ask that for a while. So when you're doing, I actually never used arnica as the actual plant. I'm used to, using it in
The
an
homeopathic.
homeopathic,
Yeah.
remedy. Yeah. So what, it's different, right? It's different properties. So how does
Yeah,
that?
the homeopathic, I mean, the homeopathic is nice and everything, but the plant has, I mean, it has a lot of antispasmodic, pain relieving, anti-inflammatory properties to it. So it's an old school thing that you would use for pain, injuries, inflammation, especially things that are inflammatory or spasmodic. And so, the kind of the classic formula is to use arnica, St. John's wort, and calendula together. And so,
Yeah.
you can use arnica by itself, or you can use that, I think we call it complex, right? Arnica complex, which has all
Oh,
three.
that's what. Okay.
And then if I make the
Mhm.
ointment, I actually have the base oils that have, like we put the essential oils in it, but then I have like a sesame oil that has soaked with the plants of arnica. So like it's a different kind of extraction. So I have it with arnica, St. John's wort, and calendula. And so we take the oil the infused where we extract it with the sesame oil, and then we do the essential oils and we mash them together. And so I tried to give a bigger, broader spectrum of those plants in the ointment.
Okay, thank you. Because I was wondering about it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
pretty
now
nice. It feels like how would you describe it? Like is like that's kind of Samantha's, like if she has something hurting, she goes to the arnica complex.
I mean, for me, it just kind of works for any pain.
We
almost.
were calling it for Samantha, we were calling it her happy juice.
Yeah, I wrote
Like-
arnica on the bottle.
Right.
Like my lower back, hip pains, I would just like put it on at night and it would just
Yeah.
release this tension.
Yeah.
That was just,
Yeah. Yeah. We
Okay,
literally have
perfect.
a label that calls it her happy juice. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. And then okay, so then the next one with the dry eyes,
Mhm.
Schizandra.
Mhm.
Again, I'm familiar with that as the herb, like taking it as
Mhm.
powder. I actually didn't know it works for dry eyes, so
Mhm.
apparently I'm putting together my next order now. But so but then okay, so the question is, how is it different than using it in the powder
So the
form?
powder would still work that way. You would just have to take a lot. So like the essential oil would probably be like if you did 3 drops, that's the equivalent to several grams of the of the
Oh,
of the plant. So I mean I would say it's probably, I mean it's hard to quantify, but I would say it's probably like the equivalent of like 7-8 grams of the plant itself.
oh.
And so,
So that's why you can take it only a couple
yeah.
days.
Yeah. No, you can take it for a long period of time. You usually just don't
You
need
don't
to.
need to.
Yeah. Like, you know, you could keep doing it and doing it and doing it, but, you know, because there's an old Chinese medicine approach to, like, they call it like this, I don't know, like the equivalent of like spring cleaning. And what they do is they have you do about 10 grams of, which is a lot, of schizandra for 100 days. And I've tried that a bunch of times. I don't know that I've made it more than 2 weeks. Like, I'm just like, I feel good, I feel whatever, and I just 100 days just kind of blows my mind that you could do that. But with the oil taking like 3 drops or so, you easily could do that, you know, because look, you're having to consume so much of the, you'd either have to drink it in a tea or a tincture, because like what I would used to do is I would buy the the schizandra, you know, like the little fruits, and then I would grind it up in powder, and I just put big spoonfuls in my mouth and wash it down, and it was like having a meal. Like, I was like, well, I gotta eat so much Shazam. Like, it was too much. Doing it with the oil, it's super easy. And you know, you'll find
Yeah.
that, you know, after a little while, you're feeling good, you're sleeping good. You know, the tendency is when you're feeling good and the symptoms have improved, you kind of stop doing it. You can always go back to it, but if you have resolved some issue, you know, you can just let it be and then tune it up when you need it. It doesn't have to be a daily
Mm-hmm.
thing, but you could take it daily. You could take it daily for the rest of your life, and it would be.
So, because because it has a lot of other benefits as
Oh
well.
yeah, 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 yeah. Chinese
Even
medicine, they
as far
use it
as
for
skin and
yeah, they use it for sleep issues. They use it for increasing dream time. So that means that you're going into deeper states like anabolic state. um you know, there's so many benefits, like you said. It's a really well balanced herb for humans. It's very nice.
and then skin wise, right? It helps the skin
It will moisturize
with
the skin from
different
the
things, right?
inside out. Yeah, from the inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you would do that, and then this one you would do at night
I would do it at
before
night.
going to
Just,
sleep.
I mean, you could do it during the day, but I would do it at night just because it is going to improve your sleep. So I would do
Yeah,
it,
okay.
you know, an hour or so before bed or right as you're going to bed. And
Okay.
you know, the times that I've done it, I go, well, I'm gonna take some Shazandra and then, you know, go to bed in about an hour. And like when I take it within about 10 minutes, I'm like, it's bedtime. I'm going to bed, and I
Okay.
sleep hard and deep.
Okay. Thank you. I'll add that.
Yeah.
I've been using actually the ylang ylang on my
Uh-huh.
feet at night.
Yes, yes, yes.
This is I can't even really explain it. It's like my
Yeah.
sleep is more, it's
Yeah.
deeper and it's like more pleasant. Like I
Yes.
wake up
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
more, that's been really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, you
Um,
know, it's very soothing. And the thing that's interesting about Lang Lang, you know, because like you hear me say like, oh, it's good for the physical heart and it's good for this. And, you know, one of the big things like in medical aromatherapy is like it's good for frustration, especially frustration that would eventually turn to anger. Like it's good for that. But one of the things that we, you know, we don't really talk about very much is it's very relaxing to the body when there's pain or tension, like, you know, like stress tension or tension of the day, you have a hard time
mhm.
unwinding. It's very, very soothing to that. You know, sometimes when the like my body, you know, I have periods where I am managing some pain or whatever, and you know, I'll put the pain relieving things on and everything feels good, but then there's still like this weird like kind of body tension. I throw a little Lang Lang on and it's gone. It's just gone. So,
Okay. Perfect.
you know,
Thank
that
you.
that blend pain soothe, like part
Yeah.
of the soothe part is it has Lang Lang in it. Like, so it has a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
pain relievers in it, but it's got some Lang Lang in it.
Yeah.
And it's super
Mm-hmm.
soothing to the body.
Mm-hmm. Okay. perfect. And then again, the tuberose, the body tonic, which again seems needed. Then would you use it as an ointment as well instead of mixing it as a body tonic? Would you mix it
You
with oil
could.
instead?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You totally could.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
I
my
a
body
lot of
likes
yeah,
oil,
if your
so
body likes the oil better, yeah. Like
it is gonna
sometimes
make.
what's that?
No, go ahead.
Like sometimes I do the body tonics just because it'll dry and it doesn't make your clothes oily or something. But if you really rub in an ointment, it doesn't do that. But I also have a shirt that I sleep on that I don't care if it gets oily. So,
Yeah.
it is what it is, and so you could go either way. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then going to other questions, APR, which I love, and the scent is actually had people stopping me and asking me what I'm wearing when I have the APR. So it's wintergreen.
Well,
What
let me
else
look
is
it up.
yeah,
I
because
want
I
to say
can't remember.
it's
It's
wintergreen,
wintergreen,
helichrysum.
marjoram.
Yeah. Let me look up because I'm sure I'll misquote. Yeah, it's actually quite simple. Wintergreen, helichrysum, clove, and galbanum.
Okay. Oh, so that's it. Okay. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing the practices with the stacks, so the one that was I'm doing the connection support, and when I was the scent is what is in there? Like the connection support, there's something there that's, and I'm not sure if the unconscious blend has one at least of the same ingredient because it kind of smells, both of them smells really good to me.
So connection support is there's this oil called gymnosophyllum. It's in the helichrysum family, but it doesn't smell like helichrysum. It smells a lot more like rosemary than anything. But there's that, there's frankincense ultra, galbanum, ambrit, and then benzoin. And then
That's what I thought. It's benzoin what I was smelling. Okay.
and then what was the other thing that it smells like?
Unconscious.
Unconscious. Let's just see what's unconscious. So that is larch, sitka, hyssop decumbens, Douglas fir premium, which I think that's the French Douglas fir, if I remember right. And then myrtle, St. John's wort, and Tolu balsam.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The Tolu probably is like the notes that smell similar to you for benzoin. Like they're both real heavy and balsamy, and you know what I mean? So
okay. So okay, cool. Thank you. And then the skin support. Other than I'm wondering which oils are in the blend. I'm also wondering, would you use it actually on your skin?
Oh yeah, totally.
Topically?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So what would you use it skin-wise? What would you use?
You would use it in a lotion, you could use it in an oil, massage oil, like an ointment. So it would be helpful for like balancing out and regulating the skin, or if there's issues in the skin. It's not super specific to like treating, like say you had psoriasis. It wouldn't be like the number one thing, but I would use it as a part of a regime for treating that. So it would help to balance out the skin and improve skin function, detoxification, and that is So then that's what I have to find. It's helichrysum, frankincense, kunzia.
Hmm,
It's
okay.
heavy on the kunzia, by the way,
That's what I
and
thought.
geranium.
Okay. Yeah, that's, I wasn't sure, but okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Then as far as Lama yoga,
Mhm.
so I'm wondering when you're doing that, I think maybe a couple of the videos that you have on, which is amazing. What I'm wondering about when you're doing that, do you have a certain number of repetitions that you're doing? Because I'm not sure if there's something you talked about before, but you know, when you do Dhyan, so it's like
Right. You do 3
certain,
series of 14 and then the last one is 7.
yeah. When you
So,
do the Lama yoga,
yeah, with the Lama yoga, I mean, you can definitely do the same count. A lot of times I have them do 7 and then I do more repetitions of it. And, the idea being that it's kind of like how we were talking about before, is going back and forth. Like you'll start to have expansion, but then, or stillness, but then your mind starts to settle in, right? So there's more practice of going back and forth. Like, if you do more, like instead of doing 7 breathing cycles, you do 14, you do go a bit deeper. But some of it, when I'm doing it with people who aren't meditating on a regular basis, is I'm trying to help train the movement between intellect and intuition, and being able to help the intellect be able to let go to go into the more intuitive state, kind of like how we were talking about with the dorje just a little bit ago.
yeah.
It's the same idea, even when
Okay.
we're doing, like now we're doing more practices with the oils where it's like, okay, think of a person, think of active situations, and there's still amount of focus, but there's times where we go and drill through and really follow like a chakral pattern, and then you let go. Part of that was training the intellect to like start to have that experience and then be able to like let go. And so that's why sometimes when we do the 2.0 classes, the first time through was more of like, okay, let's train the intellect in this particular area to like be able to focus and then let go. And then after a while, it's like, okay, we've done that. Now let's just go deeper into the more intuitive component of it. We don't have to train the mind quite as much. But if you wanted to go and tune it up, you could always go back and do the first version. And even if you look at like how we're doing the auric programming with the class a couple weekends ago, like that still kind of taps into that, but then we're bringing in the other side of it, which is the healing, intuition and healing the past, where you're going way deeper into the intuitive state. And so you would work the auric program, and then part of the letting go is then go into a deeper level of the intuitive state to then shift how you're interacting with the environment and how you process information. And it's stimulating that innovative movement, that mode of learning. Because anytime we're learning, it's in intuition. Even if you're following something out of an instruction manual, as soon as you start doing what, like you go through and you go, okay, I'm supposed to do this, this, and this. As soon as you start doing it, you're going into intuition to kind of follow the steps. Even though intellect is what read the instructions, intuition is the thing that starts to go into motion, and it's how like you learn how to do something, and then you have the experience, and then intellect goes, oh, I kind of get this. I get why we're doing this. And then it can maintain something. but that experience where you're doing something new, that's purely intuition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, the Lama yoga that I did with the few videos it's been really deep. Like it's been even different experience than what I've had before. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
I
I mean, really,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
think about it, like in the videos, we're just emphasizing awareness on the body, and like, because even that thing where you go, okay, awareness on the body, where do you feel like a heaviness or a glitch? Even there, you put your attention and awareness on it, but then you just sit with it. You don't try to make it go away or anything. And so even that, you're training to shift from intellect to intuition. Like you go, okay, I'm going to sit with this. Like, oh, my shoulder hurts or whatever, or I feel a heaviness right here. And then you're going, okay, I'm sitting with it. I'm sitting with it, and then pretty soon you notice I'm starting to expand. You're shifting from intellect to intuition, even in that part of the practice.
Okay. I love it. Thank you.
Yes.
One last question.
Sure.
One last question. And yeah, and by the way, my healings it's been very different experience because I've been implementing a lot of different things. So
Oh,
super
good.
helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Super good. Yeah.
So here's the question. So I had a situation earlier today with somebody. So she was drinking some wine, her face got really hot and red. Now that person has a history of cancer a few years ago. She has Parkinson's right now. She has sciatica, so she has tons of inflammation in her body.
Yeah.
So normally I would tell her, don't drink wine, because yeah. Now my question is, what would you do?
Was it red wine?
Red wine, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if she still wants to keep that and she drinks often, what would you suggest?
Do some things that have antihistamine, because part of it is there's a reaction to what is it, the sulfites, and so they can cause a lot of allergic type responses. So you could have her take like quercetin. I mean, there's oils that have antihistamine effect, but honestly, the quercetin works better than the oils for. Like a lot of times I use a combination, but if you're just trying to knock out some basic allergic responses, just have her take some quercetin. Yeah.
And if it's realistically, I don't know if she would do that. My train of thought was have a spray or something with like German chamomile or something that can be
that
like
can
on the
help.
spot helpful.
Yeah. It would have an antihistamine effect. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say how. It would depend on how allergic she gets, because the it's an allergy, but it's not just like it's an allergy. Like there's variations of how intense it can be. And so, even a Benadryl could be helpful if she doesn't want to do like herbs or vitamins or something, but she's having an allergic response. So there's this other thing. I've had some clients use this, and if you go on Amazon, what do they call it? It's like these sticks that they'll put in the wine, like
Oh, right.
and it pulls out the
Oh, to figure
sulfite.
out.
Yeah,
Oh,
pulls out the sulfite,
oh,
and so she
okay.
can have her red wine and not have the weird reactions.
So, because what my train of thought wasn't actually allergy. I figured that there's just so much red energy in the body, and that just
That still would be allergy. Like the allergy is causing the flush, and over a period of time, it will actually accumulate and keep getting worse and worse. And so if you diminish the either how the body reacts to the sulfites, or you pull the sulfites out of the wine, she should be okay. Yeah.
oh, okay. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
They are pretty pricey.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I have the ones here that I've used. I'll send a little link. So
Yeah, so we're posting it up there for you. Yeah.
It doesn't change the
Perfect, thank you.
taste, so.
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard that, but Samantha said it doesn't change the taste. I've never used them, so like, but I think you've used them once or twice. Or,
Yeah,
so
to try it out.
yeah. So
And then go ahead, Ollie, then Brenda.
hey Ollie, how are you?
Hello, Greg. I am really, really good. Thank you. And the last meditation was so amazing. The
Oh,
Lord's
good. You're
Prayer.
so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like I'm still bathing in the starlight. Like I have this sensation.
Yeah.
So I've lost track of
Right.
many questions that I had. And so I'm still in the starlight.
Right.
Just what I remember. I would like to ask you because about the auric programming.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, and there is this oil that was not in this kit, but it was in the basic chakra kit. Is a central channel.
Oh, yes.
And I want to ask you because I'm doing the advanced protocol of auric programming with Ketoret, and I
Uh-huh.
really love it.
Uh-huh.
And then I do a stack to support every day. And I want to know if I can use also central channel for the 4 quadrants.
You could use it for the 4 quadrants, but you know where it would really shine is the part where the brain, the spine, and then the soles of the feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Like do the
Because,
four, like you know how you do the advanced, where you do the quadrants, one direction, and then
yeah.
you do it the other direction, and then at some point you do the brain, the spine,
Yeah.
and feet. So still do it with ORC programming, but then go back through and follow it through with the central channel. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what that oil does is work that same mechanism. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I
good
really
call.
love.
Good call. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Greg.
And then go ahead, Brenda.
Hey, Brenda.
Hi, Greg. I have
Hey,
two.
how are you?
I do a lot of Zoom. I'm on Zoom a lot for teaching in
Mhm.
large groups, at least 50 participants. And I had used his
We lost you there for a second. Is she still there?
day and I used it. And
You cut out there for a little bit. I didn't hear what you were asking. Yeah, we're not hearing you. Yeah.
hear me now.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. So what were you saying?
I want this so bad. I'm wondering what oils you
Yeah, I lost you again. Are you using like a headset or something? Yeah, I can't hear you. Hold on, I think Samantha's trying to get her phone. So maybe you can communicate that way.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. I heard that.
Brenda. I'm gonna call you, so mute yourself. We're trying to call your phone right now, Brenda.
You have reached a confidential voicemail.
No, okay.
Hello?
Hey, there you are.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We'll make it work one way or another.
Thank you for
This is
persisting.
intuition in effect, like we're problem solving as we go. So.
All right. So I am in trainings and I have on Zoom, I was asking what oils you'd recommend for holding space or clearing space on Zoom.
So are you just like concerned about like absorbing things from other people or like that kind of thing, or just like kind of holding the space?
I'm concerned about both.
So hyssop would be really super good to use in a situation like this because it reduces the tendency to absorb negativity from either people or environments. And so anytime you're like in situations where there's stress or you're having to interact with a bunch of people, will just minimize the contamination that can kind of that you would take on. For holding space, like are you doing healing? Are you doing lecturing? Like what kind of things are you doing?
It's a form of therapy called internal family systems, and we're trying to teach for them to embody it, not just know the information. And so when I used ginger lily one day, I felt like that worked better to get the concept across.
Ginger lily or astral projection would be another one that I would consider. Sometimes just to like get energy moving, you could use something like mugwort or artemisia. Because like the mugwort artemisia just like opens up the channels. The ginger lily and astral projection helps to generate movement. And so, when you're interacting with these individuals, like it would, by you using it would help stimulate movement in them, because they're kind of following an example. Another thing that you could utilize is there's that blend allostasis that would be kind of in the same vein as the mugwort. And like I have therapists use this sometimes with just being able to be present and to hear, like I don't know that they're as focused as like teaching something, but just to be able to like take something in, and the same idea would work, but some form of that. Tuberose could work as well. Aloes, like sometimes I use aloes like when I'm doing healing, just because it just makes my mind go blank, you know what I mean? And like then I'm just trying to be a channel or have some sort of transmission come through. So you could play with that one as well. But I like where you're going with the ginger lily or astral projection. Hyssop for like protection and just minimizing some sort of contamination. And then
so I could use both ginger lily and hyssop?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so together they wouldn't negate each other.
No, I would put the like ginger lily like maybe on the heart and the hyssop like on the wrists. And then you can inhale each one of them, but just wearing them a lot of times will even just do it.
Okay. That's super helpful. And intend for it to be in the Zoom room, or
just they'll get it from interacting with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't even worry about that. Yeah.
Okay. Then my second question is my gallbladder.
Okay.
And liver. What do I need?
So what do we know what's going on with gallbladder or?
Achy.
Okay. So achy. So a couple of things that I would use there, like, so, and you haven't had your gallbladder out or anything like
No.
that. It's just achy. So I would start with peppermint. I would take it like a couple of drops of peppermint and water and do that daily. Just don't do it like within a couple of hours of going to bed. You know, do it like earlier in the day. A lot of times the peppermint will resolve it. But
Okay.
if there is a little bit of like achiness with like pain, chamomile, especially like Roman chamomile or Cape chamomile, can be very helpful for helping to reduce the achiness. You know, if you feel that peppermint will resolve a lot of things in the gallbladder, but
Okay.
sometimes you can use something like pine, like, you know, Sylvester pine, and
Okay.
that you could again just put it on the wrist, like 3-4 drops on the wrist, do it daily, and sometimes even that will just resolve the gallbladder. If there is gallstones, the peppermint, like anything with menthol, will actually break that down. If you want to rotate it, sometimes you can use peppermint and then some rosemary. And then the other thing that I throw in there in the mix sometimes is Moroccan thyme. And so peppermint being the primary thing for like first level of treatment. And then
Okay.
if the achiness is still there, then I would go to the Sylvester pine or the Roman chamomile. The chamomile I'd put directly on the area. The Sylvester pine I would put like on the wrist.
Okay, you said which on the area, the Roman chamomile?
Yeah, Roman chamomile.
Okay,
Yeah.
on area. And the rosemary, that would be
Internal.
water.
Yeah, internal.
Internal.
Yeah, with water. Yeah.
Okay, I will do that. I had a clarifying question on the schizandra for
Yes.
eyes, dry eyes. Is that 2 to 3 drops in water?
Yes. I mean, if you put it on your tongue and wash it down with water, that's fine. But
Okay,
that one, I don't think, personally, I don't think it tastes very bad, but it is a strong taste, so you might want to put it in water.
okay, I can handle quite a bit.
Yeah, good.
All right, this is awesome. Thank you for
You're so
persisting.
welcome.
Thank you
You're so welcome.
much.
You're so welcome. Keep me posted. If for some reason that's not working, let me know, but that should work for you.
Okay, I will do. Thanks so much.
You're so welcome.
And then we do have some questions
Yeah,
in
yeah.
chat as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I want to say the auric and somatic programming class, when we used the pulmonary support, it made my shoulder issue go away by 98%.
Yeah.
I do have a question. I'm about to start studying for some pretty big exams for my career. I needed to advance. What is a good protocol to follow with what oils for memorization, recall, focus, etc.? Whatever you think is best so I can be at my best when doing this.
So I would do in your auric programming kit, there is a memory support, and I would do the advanced version of it. So that will help with recall, that will help you with processing, because a lot of times with memory is that sometimes the early stages of even forming the memories, we don't hit those markers very well, and then it's harder to recall something because there's not really material to recall. And if you did hit those markers and then you're just like, I got so much information up there, it makes it easier to bring it forward. And so I would work the auric program for that, and then I would also just inhale it randomly, and I would wear 3 or 4 drops a day. Rosemary or rosemary verbena increases circulation, so it increases brain function. But like a really good one to be using is basil, and basil is a cognitive stimulant. So it makes your mind like work, and makes your mind be able to handle and process a lot of information. And with study, one of the issues that happens is you'll notice you'll be studying, and you're like, oh, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. Your mind or your brain got stressed out, and so it's mental stress. It comes from like processing a lot of information. Basil will undo the effects of the mental stress and prevent the mental stress from like catching up to you as quick. And so you'll be able to go longer periods of time of studying and then not having that like, I'm done. I've too much. I have too many things. I gotta start getting rid of, like, let's get rid of the number 23 and the letter P. I'm just done. I don't have any more space anymore. Right. And so Basil is really super good for that. So I would do the org programming with the memory support and then complement it with basil or basil and rosemary, so.
And the application?
Basil would be, you can inhale it, like you could put it on your wrist, but I would definitely be taking it internal. Like 2, 3, even 4 drops at a time, and you could do it multiple times. So,
And the
Yeah.
same with the rosemary, if they would. do
yeah,
that too?
I'd lean a little heavier on the basil, but you could do the same with rosemary as well. Yeah. And good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
And what is in Master's Blend?
Let's lift that baby up. It's frankincense, clary sage, marjoram, alemi, myrtle, thyme serpulette, artemisia, straw flower, which is a kind of helichrysum, and then a lot of lavender. A lot of lavender. It's heavy on the lavender. I mean, there's a bunch of oils there. It's probably 40% lavender and 60% all those other oils.
And just because we haven't gotten it up on the website and I keep getting emails about it, could you talk a little bit about the intuition and healing the past class?
Yeah, so it's the other side of the coin for the auric programming. So the auric programming is working the energy body and is working the intellect and how we physicalize things in the mind, and the energy body. The intuition and healing the past is working the intuitive side. So they actually go hand in hand. For those that did the auric programming class, you saw there was a booklet that has the 49 different auric programs that you look at. The intuition and healing the past is actually going to have those same 49 things, but now it's going to be tied to how we interact with the environment. So the auric programming was the aura and us and the mind and how we physicalize things. And then the intuition and healing the past is how we interact with the environment based on this. So it's the two sides of the coin. And so they definitely augment each other. And like I was just running Samantha through, we did one, remember we did it for your sinuses.
Oh, it's so good.
And so we went through and we did the long version of the sinus support. And she was like, oh, that feels really good. And then we used the part from the intuition in healing the past, which is again tied to not necessarily the symptoms that are in the body, but how we might generate the symptoms or our reactions might be causing some of the issues. And your nose opened up like substantially more with that, and it's nothing that would be normally for sinuses. Like it's just because we did the other side. Like it was too much to present in one thing, so we did the auric programming, and then this is the other side of the coin, or the flip side of it. And so it's tied to like the intuitive processes and how we interact with the environment. So it has to do with learning, it has to do with innovation, it's all the things that we talk about, but we're looking at the specific like mechanisms or the specific areas in intuition and developing these different areas so that like how we're talking about trauma, for example, like you can work the auric programming for the effects of trauma and you would unwind some of it, but you would still have some of the interaction in the environment that is then going to maybe potentially generate it again. You'll eventually evolve out of it if you just do the auric programming, but if you do the other side of the coin, it's like you just break it like right then and there. And so it's a very accelerated way to do deep healing without having to go, I need to revisit this old trauma. I need to unwind this. I need to undo the effects of the trauma or this past event, or I have this conflict with this person and I can't seem to break out of the pattern. It's because we're like in intellect, right? And so it still resolves it by doing all the work with the auric pattern. But then when you take this intuitive part and you mix it, it's just like it's a whole new ball game. Just working the auric program is a whole new ball game, but this is like that on steroids. So the booklets will eventually actually merge, and so you'll have the same 49 programs, but with the oils that correspond, and they're all actually new blends that are specific for this particular thing. And the two classes we have a booklet where they're merging together, so there will be all in one booklet for the people who have had both classes. So,
And go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Greg, will the intuition and healing have like a 2.0 to it? Or will it just basically be emerging?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's pretty complete. I mean, if there is a 2.0, it would be more of the dynamics of how the auric programming and the intuition and healing like interact. But because like the other part, like I was explaining this to Samantha the other night, is you remember the body mapping, like the 2.0 might even be like integrating, because like it's too much to lay out all at once. So I visited each piece.
Yeah,
but they actually are part of the same mechanism. And so, the 2.0 is probably going to be us like I think the first time Memorial Weekend we're going to do a mash of auric programming in intuition and healing the past. But then probably in the following month we're going to do those two and also body mapping like all together, and like a steady group that's just in a day or a weekend or something where we do all three mesh together. And so, and then there'll be a booklet that supports that.
Okay. So it sounds like these classes will be, okay, you have all the parts, and here's an example of putting these parts together.
Yeah, there'll be actually protocols, like there'll be a whole protocol of like, say, like we're talking about memory support. Like you would go through and work the auric program for the memory support and the somatic programming. Then the next piece would be, then you would do this piece for how you interact with the environment so that you generate more memory data to form more of the memory. And, because like sometimes what happens, like memory is a good example, is we're stressed out, we're distracted, we're focused on something, we're in our head about something, and the thing that we're needing to process and take in, we don't always gather up all the information. So then later when we try to go, okay, now what was that, or what was that piece of information, you can only recall what went in. And so if a lot didn't go in, and so like for me when I was young, like if I did it like way out, like I started studying for a test in school, I didn't do well. But if I waited till like when it got really close, I would study because like the intensity was like, I have to learn this, right? And my mind would stay focused on it. But if I did it 3 weeks out, my mind didn't like I didn't have the urgency, and so I'd space out. I wouldn't be able to focus. I couldn't process the information. Like I needed the intensity to like. It was not a good habit, but
Yeah.
it's the way that I got through it when I was younger. As I got older, I was like, I have to stay focused, you know. So when I was younger, it was like if I don't study and focus, I'm not going to pass this test. And so I'd almost like just wait till the last minute to create like an urgencies where I would stay focused. And so part
Well,
of
even this weekend for this weekend's class, okay, Saturday morning was great, and Saturday at lunchtime I get this call, and there's this major crisis going on, and I have to interrupt it in the middle of lunch, and then come in halfway through the first session Saturday afternoon, and I am completely unhinged.
right,
It's like I didn't get anything Saturday
right.
afternoon because I was
Right.
still in this crisis
Perfect example.
that
Yeah,
happened at lunchtime Saturday. You know, I
right.
mean, it just so completely blew my experience of Saturday. It's like, okay, you know, things need to settle down so I could do Saturday all over again by the
Right.
recording.
That's a perfect example. And if
Yeah.
you think about it, like here is a situation where we're unhinged. But sometimes we just like life has kind of kicked us in the crotch a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you kind of go through and it's like, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. You have a bunch of things on your plate. And sometimes it's not a particular incident, but just the toll of everything, like, my last 5 years or whatever. Like now
Well,
I
yeah,
have
the
to
last
study.
5 years, I've been
Right,
working on something all week, and
right,
it's like it's still got my thought cycles tied up. And
right,
like I'd want to focus on this class, but I'm still thinking about like how am I going to get
right.
this thing fixed? You know?
So like think of like the intuition and healing the past is like opening up the channels of how you interact with the environment so that you are able to process it and you really utilize intuition to like walk out of something, to learn, to innovate, to step away from something, or if something's upsetting, just go, well, like in the intellect, but intuition, it's a little bit different. We can problem solve, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so it it's the best way to say it is the other side of the coin, but it's more of how we interact with the environment and how we process the environment. If you really look at somebody who's super smart or a genius, they process the environment better than most people. It's not always that their brain is like doing bigger and better things or have stored more facts. They're usually more observant and they're more interactive with their environment. And they take things in and interact in their environment that's very different than the normal person. And
Mhm.
that's actually what makes them smarter or makes them a genius or whatever it is just observation and then the interaction.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Good deal. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And I just want to say, even as Greg was talking about with my experience, I had done a couple stacks, just regular auric stacks, like focusing on the sinus stuff. And so that's why we went that way with the more the intuition part. And it was substantial, the difference.
Like the stack was a step up, wouldn't you say? Like the stack was like, okay, I'm feeling better. Like I'm feeling better in ways. But then when you do the intuition healing the past, it's like it's like your brain doesn't even like, how did this happen? Like, how did this work? Because so many times our interactions are then eventually causing our physical things. And it's not like we're causing our problems, but like if you're in agitated environments, like not too long ago we were in a situation where it was very overstimulating through our travel. And I mean, we got home, it was nice and quiet, but we are still like it took us a couple of days to shake it off. And it was like, if we didn't have the oils and the things that we knew, I mean, it was so overstimulating that like it would have gone on for weeks or months. But for us, we were able to shake it off in a couple of days. But even when we were home, it's like it still didn't feel good like being at home. It was like I still feel the agitation of the travel and you know, with so much of the symptom oriented approach, we really have not valued how much of the environment and how we interact with the environment influences us with not just our thoughts and feelings, but our physiology. And so, you know, the thing that we did on Saturday with the respiratory thing is like I wanted you guys to have an experience of we're treating these things, but it's non-specific to respiratory. It's more of like the environmental components somewhat, and see how it makes your respiratory tract feel. And it was like, it made a difference, right? And then the next day we went through and it was like, now let's do clinical. Now, like if you have spasms in your bronchioles, let's treat that. But the first day it was like how the bronchial spasms got there. Like, you know, so same thing with the auric programming and with the intuition and healing the past is you're treating what's happened and what's going on, and then how it got there. Like, and it's not about like, oh, I get upset or I'm angry or trauma. It's just about how you interact. It's developing. I can't remember. It's like 12 or 13 different intuitive components to accelerate your ability to heal in any given situation. Basically, we're breaking down intuition into these different segments and developing different aspects of your intuition, not just like, oh, let's stimulate intuition or let's apply and develop intuition, but mechanically let's develop this aspect of intuition, let's develop this next aspect of intuition, and then together it comes together and it works as a big unit. But sometimes you have to develop the individual pieces, and so that's what the intuition and healing the past is you're developing the different aspects or mechanisms within intuition to enhance your intuitive abilities.
And then just one last question, and
Sure,
then we'll
sure.
call it good for the night. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, by the way. If we have time, could I check what the best way of using Jasmine for energetic, emotional, psychological purification would be?
Like just in general, or are you trying to target something specific? I mean, Jasmine does a bunch of things. So for one, like in difficult situations, it makes you kind of feel like a little bit more lighthearted and playful when things might be a little intense or a bit negative, right? Also, you know, you don't really think of Jasmine like this, but it's very fortifying. It's very strengthening. It's strengthening to the spleen. It's strengthening to your physiology. It's even a little bit fortifying to the nerves. Like it's what you would use when people have, like when a woman has postpartum depression. A lot of times that's just a super depleted spleen, or their body's been very depleted. Jasmine's very fortifying. It also calms down the adrenals. And then it has a cleansing effect. And so you could rub it on your feet, you could rub it on your wrist, you could do inhalation. If you do inhalation, I would do the thing with where you go people, active situations, past events, right? I would do that. And then I would do the crown, the ajna, the front and back solar plexus, and the basic. Like in that order: crown, ajna, front, back, solar, and basic. And I think you'll notice that it's very soothing. It is relaxing. It helps you to adjust and adapt. It's purifying. And it helps you to not go to that I don't know. You know how like sometimes when you just don't feel good and you start just slipping down that slope. I call it I'm going to my dark place. Like, where you're just like Jasmine, like if you work it like that, can kind of help prevent you from going to that dark place. So
And it smells delicious too.
yeah, who doesn't love Jasmine? So okay, you guys. Well, hopefully you can join us for WESOC. It would be tomorrow, like how we would do our normal stream. We're going to be starting the WESOC practice, and the peak is at 6:49 Central Time. And so, yeah, we'll do that. Then we'll process it a little bit afterwards and everything, but we'll prep a little bit. Like a lot of times in certain traditions and practices, they'll lecture before the WESOC, but I like to just do prep and meditation and just jump right in. And so we'll be jumping in and doing meditation and practice prior, getting ready, and then when the 8 minutes happens at the peak of the full moon, we'll be ready with the practice that we've been doing, and then we'll utilize it to bless and help with healing and bless your projects and things like that. So